What's up, spilled milkers? As you can tell, I'm wearing a different t-shirt and I am not in a hotel room. That's the personal update. I should also tell you that I'm recording this on a Sunday afternoon. I am having a colonoscopy tomorrow. Too much information? I don't think so. Because I'm sort of snotty and irritated and in a bad mood because on Sundays I like to cook and eat all day long. And instead I'm sipping broth and eating flavorless popsicles, waiting for a delivery of things from the supermarket that includes orange Jello. That is where I am right now. So I'm kind of bitchy. Not really. So many people getting ready to go away. I got a ton of mail about a whole bunch of topics that if you have a subscription, if you're watching this right now, it means that you have a paying subscription. I encourage you, please, London, Paris, all the United States, big cities. We have so many food recommenders in the archives. You can scroll back and actually see both on AMAs and in written articles some of my city restaurant guides. You can always shoot us questions. We will answer them next week. But a lot of people asked about Rome. And in our poll, I love Rome, especially at this time of year. If you're flying into Italy and you're spending a night or two there, which I encourage, and doing it on the outbound as well while you drive down to the coast. I mean, remember, it's just a short drive, 2 to 3 hours, depending on where you're going. That's the way I like to do it, come in and out of Rome. So you need a couple of meals. We also know people don't like it when I drone on and on about like 15 different places. So let me make this really easy for you. Pizza by the slice is a really big thing in Rome, right? Al Taglio. Banci Pizzarium is the best. The best cheeses, the best cured meats, the best, farmers market vegetables, roasted onto delicious pizza slices. If you are looking for a snack or a short meal, and obviously don't go in the middle of lunchtime, you will wait. But Banci, Bonci, Pizzarium is great. I happen to love a restaurant called Collina Emiliana. It is the food of Emilia-Romagna. Yes, there's a lot of butter and a lot of eggs and, especially, egg in their pasta. And people associate the food of that area with the wintertime. I don't care if it's 100 degrees out. I want their pumpkin tortellini in brodo. I mean, full stop. Also, they have a great bollito misto. And I happen to think that simmered meats is just a wonderful way to eat in the summertime. They also have a lot of summer dishes, so don't get me started on them just cooking wintertime food. Armando's Al Parthenon, Pantheon, wrong city, is just fantastic. One of my favorite restaurants, been there forever. Puntarelli, carciofi, artichokes, you name it, they have it. And yes, even in the summertime, they make a fettuccine pasta there with the liver and the hearts and all the innards of the chicken cooked down with chicken broth and vegetables into this rich sugo that is one of my all-time top 10 favorite dishes anywhere in the world. And a lot of other delicious things as well. Great fish also, by the way. Mazzo, M-A-Z-Z-O. Used to be a tiny little restaurant, 12, 14 seats. Went back recently. It's big, it's bold. It's a huge full-size restaurant now, which is fantastic. They have all the Roman classics there, but one of the things that Rome is famous for is their tripa alla Romagna, which is tripe simmered. It's not, barnyardy at all, and finished in tomato sauce with mint and lots of delicious dry aged cheese shaved on top of it. Anyway, it's a classic dish. You see it in sandwiches. You find it on almost every menu there that's cooking in the Roman style. But what they've done at Mazzo, and I just thought this was fantastic, is they simmer the tripe, they cool the tripe, then they fry it, right? So it's crispy, and then they serve it with this fabulous sauce. Texturally, it's out of this world. Try it. Roscioli, yes, they've opened an outpost in New York. I don't give a fuck. It's still one of the best restaurants in all of Italy. I love it there. I feel like a king when I'm eating in the deli, in the restaurant. Doesn't matter. I just love that restaurant. Latteria Trastevere. Yes, it's in a fancy area of town. You gotta go. It's a Sardinian Roman hybrid in terms of cuisine. And they have some of the, it's a wine bar, it's a taverna, which is an Italian bistro. It's casual, it's fun, there's great people watching there, go. Circoletto, on the flip side, not a wine bar, it's more of a beer place with lots of little small plates. So little fried fish, little grilled meats, little chops, little cured meats. I can sit there and eat all day long, something I'm not doing now. And last but not least, Menabo, Menabo, pasta heaven. Tons and tons and tons of different modernized pasta dishes. It's not Grandpa's pasta place in Rome. This is the pasta place you need to be eating in right now. Bob, who's always sending me news clips and stuff, saw an article on anyway, that's Rome. So an article on on Food Network's website about how one goes about beating Bobby Flay. And I thought it was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in a long time. Basically what they did is they asked 12 Food Network stars how to do it. And people were like, oh, he's Big Flavors, go at him with Big Flavors head to head. Other people said, keep it super simple, just like stay in your own lane, do what you want to do, cook your dish your way, be super focused. Other people were like, oh, get under his skin, blah, blah, blah. No, obviously, well, I shouldn't say no. Obviously, you have to do all those things. That's the basic requirement. What it really comes down to, when two cooks are cooking against each other, both of whom are really good, is who's judging. Because the judges bring a very specific point of view to everything that they're tasting. And let me tell you, I've competed in all these shows and I've judged all these shows. As a cook, when I make a dish and I'm done making it, focused to the best of my ability, perfect, great, and I send it out, it's no longer my dish. That dish is now open to the interpretation of the diner. It's now the diner's dish, okay? Do they see the beauty in it? Do they see what I was trying to make work with it if I'm competing? That is what's the most important thing, right? So, with Beat Bobby Flay, you're going through a whole series of all these different competition shows. It's about who's doing the judging. Because you have to assume that the people who are doing the cooking are cooking really good food. Now, I'm not talking about the first couple rounds of Tournament of Champions where I've seen some real shite put on a plate. I'm not talking about, any old competition show, right? But once you get to the point where there's really good cooks going up against each other, it's in the hands of the judges. It's like a really close boxing match or UFC MMA bout, right? Really close. You don't know. That round could have gone 10-9 to either fighter. It's about the judges. Questions about my berry crisp. Susie writes, your enthusiasm is infectious. Thank you. Does real cream mean heavy whipping cream? Real cream, and it varies from state to state because there are no national labeling laws, which we desperately need, is that on the flip side of that cardboard container, it should just say cream. It shouldn't have carrageenan in it. It shouldn't have a whole bunch of other stabilizers and preservatives. It should just say cream. Rob writes, have you started season 3 of The Bear yet? Not yet, but I can't wait because my friend Will Gadara was a producer this year and had a lot of input, and I had a lot of other friends who were part of the deal there. And I hope it's great. Can't wait. Nelson writes, I agree with the traditional neighborhood New York deli and how it's disappearing. It's hard to find those types now with that tile floor, the stools, the guy behind the counter wearing a small brown paper bag like a cap with a dish rag over his shoulder, and the menu on the wall with a few letters missing and or lost after falling down behind somewhere. True. It truly was an era itself. Times change along with neighborhoods. That's also a good thing for newer memories and just as valuable. Yes, that's true. However, there are certain archetypes that be nice to still appreciate. However, I will tell you right now, if all the great old delis just magically disappeared overnight, 15 years from now, someone would sit around a table and go, let's resurrect a deli. And they would make a great deli. So yes, things go and then things come back. Annie writes, do you have tips for getting good food in an airport? Yeah. Wow. Yes. But it's really about understanding where you are, what city, what's good. Thank God. Oh, my phone is recording this. Thank God we have phones, because all you have to do is go best food in Atlanta airport and they will direct you to one if by land, two if by sea, right? A great restaurant that's actually in, is it E-Concourse? It's fantastic. When you're in Chicago, they will direct you to Rick Bayless's, sandwich place, right? There are restaurants or booths in airports all across the country that are just so much better than others. One of the issues is a lot of people license their name. It's just the way the deals are done. It's not their employees or their managers checking on the food. They're licensing their name and their and everything else. So you got to be careful. My suggestion for airport food is to eat beforehand, or just suck it up and say, you know something, I'm going to, like I did several times, say I'm going to try Wendy's for the first time. Regina writes, I have so much basil. What can I do with pesto besides pasta and pizzas? What else can I do with all this basil? First of all, dry it. Okay, that way you have dried basil you can do an awful lot with. Puree it and with lemonade. Basil lemonade is one of the most delicious things in the whole world. Basil desserts like a sorbet or a sherbet, fantastic. It pairs beautifully with citrus. So basil lemon, basil lime, right, is just incredible. Take that pesto, or let's not call it pesto because that involves pine nuts and pesto genovese, pine nuts and Parmesan cheese and olive oil, but go just with basil, olive oil, salt, garlic, and use that and rub it all over fish. Rub it over steaks before and after the grill, right? Heavy duty on the after. Basil is great with meats. It's that anise flavor that's so fantastic. Or fish, or pork, or chicken. Works like a charm. You'll get rid of a lot of basil. Bridget writes, I'm curious about your opinion of ghost kitchens. Do you think this is how most new culinary folks are entering the food scene? No. Is it akin to what food trucks used to be? No. Food trucks were, hard working culinarians, people who wanted an easy entry point into the food scene. And guess what? The easiest way was a food truck, right? They made great food. Owners still are typically on the truck, right? So I think that's great. Ghost kitchens are not. Again, it's just licensed recipes. People who are doing it, some are making money. Most are failing because it turns out what people actually want is to know that their food is being cooked by someone real and not someone cooking, again, food whose recipes have been licensed. I think it's all bullshit. Anne writes, how do you like to reheat pasta? Very slowly. First of all, the most important thing with reheating pasta is making sure it comes to room temperature. Second thing, a little bit of water or broth right? So you can actually saute it again and heat it up. One of the problems is that if you're making pasta the right way and you're tossing penne in a matriciana sauce, tomato. Anyway, toss, serve, you have leftovers. The noodles actually absorb the moisture while it's in the fridge, so you wind up with something drier. So typically what I'll like to do is crush some cherry tomatoes, open up a can of passata or whatever, drizzle a little tomato sauce, a little olive oil over the top of it, maybe a little cheese, bake it in the oven. Do something else with it other than expecting to revive it to make the dish that you ate last night or 2 nights ago, right? Lot of comments from my Instagram post on Bourdain, and people asked questions or made statements in Substack that were really, really quite touching. Joanna writes, I grew up watching both of your TV shows in Poland. He's greatly missed. Yes, he is. Curly, I wrote about you two for my senior project paper. My senior project was meal prep and cooking. I love hearing that. Thank you. Kat writes, bizarre foods and no reservations changed my life. Grateful for both of you. For those of you who are younger and don't understand why the shows are always paired up, is that Bourdain was making Cook's Tour for Food Network when I was doing Bizarre Foods as I made 2 specials for Travel Channel. Then they wound up buying Bizarre Foods. By the time I was making Bizarre Foods, Travel Channel had bought Cook's Tour from Food Network, aired it on their channel, and then sent Tony out making the show that became or was No Reservations. So we essentially started basically back to back, and we were placed on the same night on Monday nights for the first 3 years that we were at Food Network. For the first 3 years we were at Travel Channel, and it was really powerful night. And then they moved me onto Tuesdays to sort of bring other shows and stack them around mine, and then just expand their offerings throughout the week. It really was a golden age of food and travel television, that's for sure. Max writes, No Reservations Bizarre Foods combo on Mondays that got me into food and cooking. Much love, AZ. Thank you. Ron writes the same thing. He used to spend his evenings watching both of us or. I will tell you, I hope television networks understand how badly people would like to see shows like that again. I really think they do. Every time I try to sell travel shows around food, all I hear is, people don't want to travel again. They want competitions. I don't think they do. I think competitions, we know statistically and according to ratings that talking heads behind cutting boards, unless they're really unique, are going down in the ratings. We also know that competitions are, we're sort of reaching an apogee there. There's a whole bunch more in production right now. There's tons coming at you next year. And I just think after a while, people are not going to want to see them. It's the same old, with the same old people. And I think people are going to want to come along with people who understand how to eat and travel and interpret culture and have fun, be a little wise-assy at the same time. I think that's what it's going to take. Anyway, you all have a great week. Send your questions in the Substack app, in the chat, to our email at Spilled Milk. However you want to respond and ask them, we want to hear from you and answer your questions. And please, 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 when you go to Rome, you know the restaurants that I like because I told you about them. But the one that you're really going to want to check out is Menabo, the pasta place. Su and Mazzo. You know what? I only gave you 7 of them. Go eat at all of them. There you go. Have a nice day.